You won't make it. That sentence, it's not just words. It's a scar. It's a shadow you've dragged with you for years. It plays on repeat in your head, like a broken record that refuses to stop. They never said it outright, but you could feel it. Every time you spoke about your goals, the air changed. They'd nod politely, then laugh behind your back, like your dream was a goddamn joke. But you never found it funny. You remember the first time you felt small, when you walked into a room full of people and somehow felt invisible. You weren't the loudest, you weren't the strongest, you weren't the one they picked. You were the background character in your own story. Your ideas were ignored, your effort overlooked. They told you to be realistic, that chasing big dreams was childish, and over time, it wore you down. You watched as others got handed the opportunities you worked for. You stayed up late, grinding in silence. You tried to stay patient, tried to be humble, tried to wait your turn. But your turn never came. Instead, they fed you doubt, labeled you a lost cause, said you didn't have it. And maybe they were right. Or maybe they just never looked close enough to see what you really carried inside. Because what they didn't know, what they still don't know, is this. Every laugh, every insult, every fake smile, you kept it. You didn't forget. You stored it in your chest like ammunition, like firewood, and now it's burning. You never needed them to believe. You just needed the pain. Because pain sharpens focus. It clears the noise. It turns doubt into discipline. You weren't destroyed. You were forged. While they were busy writing you off, you were busy rewriting your story, line by line, day by day, quietly, relentlessly, and soon, they won't be laughing. This isn't about revenge. It's about becoming. Becoming the version of yourself they never saw coming. Becoming the man who doesn't talk because his results scream louder. They doubted you. And that was their first mistake. Because now, you don't want to prove them wrong just to spite them. You want to prove them wrong because you know you're right. They never picked you, never clapped when you won, never noticed the work. But what they didn't realize, that was your greatest weapon. Think about it. While they were in the spotlight, you were in the shadows. While they got handed praise and applause, you got handed the truth. No one's telling you you're special. No one's carrying you. No one's making it easy. And at first, that felt like punishment. But over time, you started to realize something. They got attention. You got focus, they got comfort, you got hunger. They were seen too soon, so they stopped growing. You were never seen, so you had to grow. While they were busy performing for an audience, you were building in the dark, quiet, unbothered, obsessed. You weren't burdened by expectations. You were free to get dangerous, to train when no one cared, to fail when no one was watching. And that failure, that pain, that invisible grind, that became your edge. No pressure, just you and the work. You were hidden, and while they slept, you became lethal. That's the thing about shadows. They don't mean you're small, they mean you're forming. You weren't behind. You were building the foundation. You weren't rejected. You were rerouted. You weren't forgotten. You were forging fire in isolation. No one clapped. No one cared. No one believed. And that made you dangerous. Because now you don't need permission. You don't need validation. You don't need a crowd. You're not trying to prove anything to them. You're trying to prove something to yourself. The silence was never your enemy. It was your advantage. They thought you weren't working. You were just working in the dark. They thought you weren't winning. You were just winning where it counts. The loudest person in the room might get the attention, but it's always the silent one you need to worry about. Because when he moves with precision, with purpose, with intent. And when you come out from the dark, you'll be unrecognizable, You weren't picked. You weren't praised. You weren't pushed forward. And that's the best thing that ever happened to you. Because now, you don't owe them explanations. You owe them one thing: shock. Let them say, wait, when did he become that guy? And you'll smile, because you always were. They just couldn't see it yet. You've carried the doubt. You've embraced the shadows. Now it's time to weaponize the pain. You don't prove them wrong with a post. You don't do it with a quote or caption or a speech. You do it with actions so consistent, so undeniable, that they have no choice but to shut up and stare. This isn't motivation. It's a protocol. And once you follow it, you don't just rise, you dominate. Step 1. Train like they're watching, even if they aren't. Even if the room is empty. Even if your name means nothing. Even if your progress goes unnoticed for months, maybe years. Because one day, they will see. And when that day comes, they won't recognize the monster you became. Every silent grind, every 5 a.m. wake up when the world is still asleep and your body begs you to stay soft. That's not just discipline, that's revenge. That's you writing your story in sweat and silence. That's a quiet middle finger to everyone who ever underestimated you. To the teacher who told you to be more realistic. To the coach who never saw your potential. To the friend who disappeared when things got dark. To the world that didn't clap, didn't care, didn't believe. You don't train for applause. You don't grind for validation. You do it because you know what's coming. Because there's a future version of you that demands it. You're not training for today. You're not even training for tomorrow. You're training for that day. The day they scroll past your name and freeze. The day your success punches them in the throat. The day they realize they were wrong about you. So keep showing up. Keep stacking the unsexy, unseen work. Keep sharpening your edge in the dark, because when the spotlight finally finds you, you won't flinch, you won't fold. You'll stand there with quiet eyes and calloused hands, and they'll wonder how you did it. But by then, it'll be far too late to catch up. Step 2, build in the dark. No noise, no fake hustle. You're not here to impress, you're here to transform. While they're chasing clout, you're chasing mastery. While they post every rep, you become every rep. You don't need validation. You don't need the likes, the views, the fake praise. Because real growth doesn't need a witness. It needs war. So you go ghost. You vanish from the feed. You disappear into the silence, and you build. In the shadows. In the silence. In the hours where most people give up and scroll. You grind in the places no one sees. You sharpen your weapons while the world sleeps. And when you reemerge, you're unrecognizable. 10 levels up, eyes colder, hands stronger, mind sharper. Not a boy trying to be great, but a man who became it when no one was watching. This is the chapter no one talks about. The lonely one, the quiet one, the one where most fall off. But you don't. You swing anyway. You bleed anyway. You rise anyway. Because you're not chasing claps. You're not after attention. You're after results. And when the world finally sees you again, it won't be a comeback. It'll be a reign. Because the goal was never noise. It was never fame. It was never followers. It was dominance. And dominance doesn't beg to be seen. It demands it. Step 3. Turn pain into pace. Let every insult become a sprint. Let every doubt become a deadlift. Let every time they laughed at you become another reason you don't stop. You don't numb the pain, you weaponize it. Every side comment, every eye roll, every moment you were overlooked, underestimated, or dismissed. That's fuel. The nights they laughed behind your back. You run harder, you train longer, you grind like your breath is a countdown. The days you felt invisible, you lock in. You read while they scroll. You work when they rest. You push through the pain because the pain reminds you you're not done yet. You take the no's the never wills, the you can'ts, and you bench them, squat them, build a new body, a new mind, a new standard with every ounce of their doubt. You don't cry about disrespect. You convert it into discipline, because most people run from pain. They flinch, they fold, they fall apart. But not you. You take that pain and make it pay. You make it chase you through every mile, every set, every second of locked-in silence. Because pain isn't the end of your story. It's the engine. And every time they try to break you, they just gave you more fuel. Here's the truth they'll never understand. You don't need rage to prove them wrong. You need routine. Because anyone can scream on social media. Anyone can say, just wait till I make it. But not everyone wakes up when they don't feel like it. Not everyone chooses sacrifice over comfort. They thought it would break you, but it built you. They thought they were laughing at your failure, but they were just giving you fire. And now, you don't want revenge through words. You want it through evolution. This is your protocol now. Train like they're watching, even when they aren't. Build in silence. Let the results make noise. Turn every pain into a pace you never slow. This isn't temporary. This is who you are now. You're not waiting to become dangerous. You're dangerous already. You don't need to tell them you've changed. You're going to show them. And when you do, they won't even know how to respond. Because it won't be the same version of you they doubted. It'll be a version they can't compete with, can't ignore, can't stop. This is the protocol, and you're just getting started. You don't need to talk. You don't need to explain. You don't need to warn anyone. Your results will walk into the room long before you do. And when they see you, they'll freeze. This is the part no one prepared for. They thought your silence meant defeat. They thought your distance meant you gave up. They thought you were the same guy they laughed at. But you weren't quiet because you quit. You were quiet because you were building. You were gone because you were training. You were invisible because you were becoming undeniable. This isn't a comeback. It's a rebirth. No more telling people what you're working on. No more trying to prove your worth with words. No more justifying your dream to people who don't even dream. Now, you move different. You walk into the room and they feel it before you speak. The posture, the calmness, the power. They'll whisper to each other, "Wait, is that him? When did he get like that? How did he change so much?" They won't believe it's you. Because you don't look like someone chasing validation anymore. You don't act like someone begging to be understood. You're not trying to fit in. You own the space you're in. You've been building muscle while they posted quotes. You've been reading while they scrolled. You've been executing while they complained. And now, you're not louder. You're just better. They'll try to start conversations with you again. They'll pretend they always believed. They'll say things like, "I always knew you had something." You've changed, bro, in a good way. But deep down, they know the truth. They doubted you. And now, they're watching the very person they dismissed win without saying a word. This is your revenge. No clapping back, no shouting, no arguments, just results. Just silence. Just them, choking on their own judgment, while you move past them like they never existed. You don't need to rub it in, because the same people who counted you out will be the same people refreshing your page, saving your content, quoting your words. Picture it. You walk back into your hometown. Same streets, same buildings, but you're not the same. People turn their heads, not because you're flashy, but because you carry something now. Presence, poise, power. The same people who once laughed behind your back. Now they look, and they pause. Because you became everything they said you couldn't. Without ever saying a word back, this is your silent revenge plan. No announcements, no validation seeking, no back and forth, just building, just working, just arriving. And when you arrive, you won't need to prove anything anymore. Your life will speak louder than your lips ever could. And they won't be laughing. They'll all be watching. This is the full circle. From overlooked to unstoppable. From doubted to undeniable. You didn't just prove them wrong. You proved yourself right. This isn't about revenge anymore. This is about arrival. And now that you've arrived, you don't have to say a thing. They doubted you. So you became unrecognizable.